Imagine a place where legends are born, where heroes save, where dragons burn skies, and gamers everywhere. The studio that gave us Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Overwatch. Names that didn't just make money, they made culture. But what if I told you, behind all those epic battles and billion-dollar successes, there was another war. It began like every great story in Silicon Valley. Ambition, innovation, and a touch of ego.
Activision Blizzard was a titan. At its peak, its games shaped the childhoods and addictions of millions. Blizzard.
Every release broke records. Every trailer was an event. Investors adored it. Players worshipped it. The company was printing money faster than gamers could say GG.
But then, something cracked. Not in the code, but in the culture.
Sense.
Suddenly, the heroes behind the games became the villains of the headlines.
The internet exploded. Memes, boycotts, furious threads on Reddit.
Employees described a culture of fear. Managers protected abusers. HR buried complaints. The company wasn't just broken, it was bleeding.
CEO Bobby Kotick, the face of Activision Blizzard, claimed ignorance, but internal emails showed he'd known about harassment for years.
Gamers turned away. Sponsors backed off. Share prices tumbled. The empire that once defined fun now represented something rotten. Inside, morale collapsed. Developers left. The magic that built Diablo and Overwatch, played, gone.
Somewhere between passion and profit, Blizzard lost its soul.
The irony? Blizzard was once known for community. Now it was being destroyed by the same people who built it. Turns out, those words meant everything until they didn't.
The world was watching, and the company was unraveling live.
And in that silence, one question remained say, how did a culture of creativity become a culture of cruelty?
The truth is, it didn't happen overnight. It happened one compromise at a time, more complaint. By the time lawsuits arrived, the damage was done. Reputation isn't a switch you can turn back on. It's a light that once lost, suddenly, the entire world saw what insiders had whispered for years. A company that forgot the players who built its throne. When culture turns toxic, talent walks out. And when talent leaves, innovation follows.
The lawsuits were brutal. The truth, even more so. Blizzard wasn't just facing fines, Grills. It was facing its own reflection.
Even the stage that once echoed with cheers now carried only the sound of disappointment.
And in the digital age, reputation doesn't fade quietly. It burns publicly, pixel by pixel. By the time Microsoft announced its acquisition, it wasn't a celebration. It was a rescue mission.
For some, it was the end of an era. For others, maybe the beginning of redemption.
Can a company truly change its culture? Or does legacy linger, no matter the logo?
In the end, Activision Blizzard became a mirror tank, reflecting both the brilliance of creation and the darkness of power. When culture becomes arrogance, even giants forget how to listen. And when leaders stop listening, collapse becomes inevitable. Trust isn't built by patches and updates. It's built by integrity, something no software can code. When the people who once loved you start fighting you, that's not rebellion, that's heartbreak.
Behind every broken company are people who saw it coming and stayed silent.
If your culture needs a presentation to prove it exists, you've already lost it.
At some point, even the jokes became cries for help, disguised as laughter.
And when the employees finally spoke up, they weren't just fighting for justice, Kai. They were fighting for the soul of gaming itself.
It's strange, isn't it? The same crowd that once cheered every game trailer now demanded accountability.
Sometimes it takes losing everything to remember why you started.
Maybe the lesson isn't about failure. Maybe it's about humility, the rarest patch any company can install. At its peak, Blizzard wasn't just a gaming company, it was a religion. Players didn't just play, they believed. But belief is fragile. One scandal, one silence, and the illusion of perfection shatters like glass.
For years, whispers stayed behind those doors, until they became roars that shook the entire industry.
The world doesn't forgive hypocrisy.
Especially not when the people betrayed were the ones who built your empire.
Activision Blizzard wasn't just under fire, Disgrained. It had become a symbol of everything wrong with corporate power.
Power is intoxicating to work, but the hangover comes when everyone stops clapping. Behind the PR statements were broken promises and broken people. When your apology needs a social media manager, it's already too late. The greatest irony? The company that built worlds forgot how to protect its own. Because in the end, culture doesn't destroy a company. People do. When they forget, it's what matters most.
Once, these screens glowed with creativity. Now, they flicker with the ghost of what could have been.
Ironically, the same slogan that inspired millions became a reminder of silence within. They didn't just build games, they built legends because they cared more about magic than money. But somewhere between success and control, the soul of the company got patch updated out. When spreadsheets start measuring joy, you know something's broken. The hardest part isn't leaving the company, it's leaving the version of yourself that once believed in it.
Every downfall begins quietly, not with a scandal, but with a shrug.
Well, maybe not that dream. Activision Blizzard's story isn't just about failure, it's a reminder that culture isn't a department. It's the air everyone breathes.
Because when the people behind the screen stop believing, the magic disappears, one login at a time.
How did a company once cheered by millions become the one they protested against?
The truth wasn't that the games got worse, Hieg. It's that the people behind them were drowning in a culture that rewarded silence.
There are storms that destroy buildings, Hawaiian, and there are storms that destroy trust. Every click that day wasn't just opening a message, it was opening years of buried pain. Sometimes, corporate empathy is printed on thicker paper, just to look more sincere. When gamers hate the most loyal fans on Earth view turn against you, it's not a PR crisis, it's an identity crisis.
What once symbolized creativity now stood for hypocrisy, a monument to misplaced trust.
Even the building seemed tired of pretending.
Not everyone gave up. Some stayed, not for the company, but for the players who still believed.
When the lights dimmed at Blizzard, it wasn't just a building that grew quiet, Errol. It was the silence of broken faith.
For years, they built worlds where heroes fought for justice reign. Yet inside their own walls, justice was nowhere to be found. There's something tragic about applause that never gets to end.
Corporate remorse, take 37, because nothing says sorry like a press release.
Those walls once echoed with creativity, now only with regret. Because sometimes, the players keep the spirit alive when the company forgets.
For some, redemption came through a buyout, not through accountability.
But maybe this isn't the end, Valder.
Maybe it's a lesson on what happens when power forgets purpose. Because culture doesn't live in logos and us. It lives in people who still care. In business realm, as in life, right, power doesn't corrupt. It only reveals who was holding it all along.
It's strange how the same walls that once echoed with laughter can someday echo with silence.
When profit becomes God, people become collateral.
Fantasy met reality and reality won. And reality won.
Teamwork is the key to success in today's fast-paced environment.
That's right, and with our new Synergy platform, you can too.
The art of saying sorry without changing a thing.
It wasn't just games we lost, Evlot. It was trust.
Me too.
Even the Horde needed HR.
The storm ends, but only if we learn why it began.